Okay, let's get this project underway here. We're going to start out by building the box which will hold the dirt in this this cold frame, raised cold frame. That is constructed out of 3 2x8s, and we're going to take 8 feet long, and we're going to take 2 of the 8-foot long 2x8s and cut them down to 48 inches each. That'll give us the fronts of our box. Since this box is going to be 4 foot by 2 foot, and we're going to be able to wheel this thing around. If you have a deck or a patio, you're going to be able to wheel this thing around. So we want to keep it fairly light. If you wanted to build 2 of these and wheel them around, it would be great. But we're going to go with just this short one to make it an easy move with all this potting soil in it and whatever water is accompanying it. We've also decided to make this out of just regular wood, no treated wood. It's going to make it difficult for preserving it, but we're going to give it our best try. We've got a couple things we're going to show you that we're doing. I'm not going to make you watch me cut every piece. Just suffice it to know that you need your 3 2x8s cut down into 4 4-foot long pieces and 4 2-foot long pieces, and we'll move on from there. Yeah. Now what I'm going to show you is we're going to have these things glued together, the 2 2x8s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some polyurethane glue so that when I glue them together, the 2 boards act together. They won't separate, and one will bend in and the other one will bend out. Whichever way one's going to go, the other one's going to go with it. So when you use polyurethane glue, it's a moisture activated glue. So what we have to do is moisten the edges of the boards and then clamp them together. Moisten it with a damp rag. No need to get crazy with the amount of moisture. I always use the small things of Gorilla Glue because the speed at which I use it usually winds up drying up in there, and then I lose money on buying a big bottle. But it's up to you. Just going to run a bead down here. Maybe wiggle it a little bit to get a little more surface coverage. And you only want to do it on one side. And then we're just going to take it, lay it down. Make sure everything's even. And then we're going to take it and clamp it together. I think it says in there for a minimum of 2 hours. Make sure it's all lined up before you finish clamping it up. Now when you clamp these things together, make sure you choose the side that you want facing out towards the real world. Better side, make sure you make that facing up. Make sure that's facing up, because this glue is going to drip down underneath. And yeah, you can get it out of there and sand it down or whatever, but it's just easier if whatever drips out is on the inside, because we're going to cover that up anyway. So that's about it for that. Now it's got to sit for 2 hours. I'm not going to make you watch me glue up every piece. So what I'll do is when I finish gluing up all the pieces, I'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to do with the interior. See you in a bit. Okay, so we've gotten our boards glued together, and they came out really sturdy, looking good. After I did that, after the glue setup was ready to go, I coated the one side with a stain blocker, or should I say a sealer. In this case, we used Zisser primer, oil-based. I wanted it oil-based because I wanted it to sop into the pores of the wood as much as possible. Since we're using regular wood, we're going to have to try and seal this up the best we can so we don't get any kind of rot. Then, once this was dried up and finished, I came back in and coated it with a rubber sealer. This I had a heck of a time finding it. This rubber sealer is environmentally friendly. They recommend it for ponds, foundations, whatever you need it for. You put on 2 coats. Now, when you put on the 2 coats, you're going to want to do the top surface, the inside surface where the dirt will be, and then the bottom surface, which water will be running down and around. The top surface, which will be the thing you'll be leaning on the most, we're going to paint this, at least I am, I'm going to paint it with a fence sealer, a fence stain, and get that taken care of that way. And we're going to go down the sides and the edges with that fence paint. The rubber seal I used is just called Rubber Seal, and I picked it up off of Amazon. It's $14 a can, but there's enough in this can that probably gets you 3 or 4 of these little projects. It works fairly well. Takes 2 hours to dry, but 72 hours to cure. So in other words, if you complete one of these in less than 3 days, don't put any dirt in it until it's cured up after 3 days. Other than that, looking pretty good. It's not tacky. It's not sticky. Hopefully, it'll have a little bit more resilience than a simple stain or any other sealer. When something strikes the surface, it won't be poking a hole through. Okay, next we're going to move on to actually creating the box. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, folks, as you can see, we got the box set out here. Now, some things happened while I was putting this thing together, and I'm glad they did. It'll give me a chance to show you what can go wrong. Since we glued the boards together, the 2x8s, I don't know whether it was the moisture in the garage here or what, but they kind of worked. Which meant when I put them together onto the box, the edges didn't exactly match up great. So it's an easy fix, it's not a big deal, but you will need a couple of these clamps, the long ones. I think these are 36 inches long. They're not all that expensive. They're down at Home Depot. What it allows you to do is to tweak things into where they need to be. What I first did was I set this corner right here and I got it squared up. So it all matched up here in this one end. So what happens is you get this into a 90 degree. Once you do, you anchor it on each corner with another board. That'll keep it from moving on you. Then you drive one 2.5 inch deck screw in there to hold it. And what you do after that is then line up your bottom piece and drive a 2.5 inch screw in to hold that. Once that's in there, you can remove the clamps, and you're going to do that all the way around until you get it to this point. Now, we had a problem with this one end curving out. So the clamps aren't long enough, so you have to put a block in here. As you can see it there, I screwed a block in there, and that gives me something for the clamp to hold on to. We'll take that out after everything's all screwed together. We're going to have to do some touch-up on this black rubberized paint anyway. So we'll take care of the holes at that time. Just fill them with the black rubberized stuff. Now, down on this corner, which is the last corner, I'm going to have to do the same thing I did with the block. I'm going to have to turn it up on its end and screw the block in lower and then clamp it down, because right down here you can see that it didn't match up. I'm going to have to pull it back in. Each one of these boards gets 2.5 inch deck screws going in to hold it together, and once that's together we'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to use as a floor in this. Take care, I'll be right back. Okay, so the box is finished. We went in and did some touch up on the areas that we scuffed up on the rubberized coating inside. And then we went in and right here, you'll take note, we have our cross piece we put in. That's 1 foot from the back edge here to the front edge. And we just used a simple 2x4 ground treated 20-year contact, ground contact, and then we put on a couple of 4 casters, which you can find at any Home Depot store. I think these cost me $7.68 a piece, and we bolted them in with some 1-inch galvanized lag screws, lag bolts with galvanized washers underneath. We went with the ground contact 2x4 simply because it's going to be wet a lot of the time, and we don't have to worry about any of it seeping back up into the dirt and getting into the vegetables if any of the treatment would come out. And you'll notice here we have this edge piece sticking up. Well, as our last item that we put on this box, we're going to come in here with a 1x6 piece of skirting that will come across below that edge, and it'll magically make it look like the box is floating above the deck or the patio, wherever you happen to put it. When you put in these wheels, make sure that they come back. They're not outside this area here. Otherwise, when they spin around, they'll hit the skirting and they won't move, and you'll have problems. Other than that, that just about finishes up the underside. I'm going to flip this thing over, and we'll show you what we're going to do on the inside as far as support structure for our floor, so that the dirt doesn't fall through and we have problems. Okay, we'll be back shortly. Have a good one. Okay, we have the box flipped over, and as you can see, the wheels protruding underneath. Like I said, we'll put a piece of fascia plate on there, and that'll cover up that wood and make it look like it's floating above the deck. Inside, we've got supports for our floor, and what we used was some 2x2 deck railing balusters. Now, some of this stuff comes treated, but the treatment is, should I say, lackluster at best. So what I did is I went over it with another coat of Penofin rosewood oil sealer. This stuff is great. It penetrates the wood like crazy, and it keeps it protected for a good long while. These are cedar, so they're going to have a certain amount of protection, but I just don't trust it. So I give it it won't be wet all the time, but it will be wet enough from you watering the plants that you'll probably want to give it that extra protection. It's up to you how you do it. You might just want to go with a cedar. If you can find fully treated ground contact 2x2s, good luck. If you do, use them. And as far as the floor goes, what I would suggest you use or what I'm going to use, is this here, which is ironwood. My whole deck was created out of that stuff, and as far as lasting, it never rots. They use this stuff for piers in Australia, and after 70 years they rip the piers out and then they cut the wood up and reuse it for something else. It's really, really strong stuff. As far as for decking goes, you've got like one color, gray, and not a good gray either, a dingy, dull gray. And what happens is during the winter when it's raining, it grows a moss coating like you wouldn't believe, and it gets slimy, and you step out on the deck and the next thing you know you're sitting on the deck with a back spasm. So all I did is I ripped all of my decking up and I got all this left over, and I couldn't bring myself to throw it out. So what I'm going to do is, you can see the backside, that's the color you get once it weathers. So what I'm going to do is just use it as flooring in here. Easier said than done. There you go. Now, it's going to take 4 of these, but I'll have a little bit of extra space left over. So I'll just be able to space the boards out, and the water from watering the plants goes through, will just drop through onto the deck. I won't have to worry about drilling any holes in these to drain it. Now, if you don't have something like this you can use, my suggestion is to get some wire fabric, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch holes, or less if you want, and staple it down inside the ledger we put in, and then take and put two layers of landscape fabric on top of that to keep the soil from falling through. You'll have great drainage, and the wire fabric is galvanized, so you shouldn't have any rotting problem. You won't have any critters trying to dig up through the bottom to get in, and everything should go well. As far as that goes, I think we're done with the box. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint it up, and then we can get started on the upper portion of it, which will have the glass, the transparent plastic in it, so we can cover it up and keep it warm during those days when there's sun out, but it's fairly cold and you can actually grow something in it. We'll be back shortly. Have a good one.